if they're going to listen to things or not listen to things. All right. Fine. Okay, so I keep forgetting to send out the notes. Okay, I'll try and send it right after the daf. So anyway, so tonight's, as we're continuing on the sugis of dead bodies, etc., right? So tonight's daf basically focuses on the rekev. The rekev is like some sort of decay that comes out of the mace when it starts decaying, dust. So how much of it becomes also which type, which really not so much how much, that was yesterday's daf. But today's daf is about combinations of the rekev and which parts of the body, etc., etc. So that's pretty much the entire daf that's dealing with this rekev. Fine, and then some practical things. There's quite a few practical things that come out from tonight's daf also, just like last night's daf. Okay, so Tana Rabbanan, right? Mamish, the top line, Nunah Hamad Aleph. Yeah, so Tana Rabbanan, Ezu mace sheyesh le rekev. What type of mace has this rekev business? So again, rekev is some sort of dirt, meaning as the skin, as the body decays, so it creates sort of like this dirt. Right, so we said that if you have a spoonful of rekev, then and you're under the same roof as the rekev, so then therefore it's going to make the nazir who's under the tamei, he's going to have to take the haircut, etc., etc. Right. So what type of mace has rekev? So it's interesting that it's not any mace. It sounds like most mason will not be. The rekev will not be eligible to make somebody tamei. Why? Because mace shenikvar orum, it has to be a mace that was buried naked without any tachrichin. Ba'aron shel shayish, in an aron made out of marble. Oyal gabi ritzpa shel avanim, or it was on a stone floor. Zeu meis sheyesh le rekev. That's a mace that has rekev. Why? Because then you know that any of the sand, if let's call it sand, I don't know if sand is the right word, what the dirt that's there, we know for sure came from the dead body, because marble and ritzpah, I guess, of stone, those don't decay. So you know that whatever dust you have there came from dirt came from the mace.
What about the dirt on top of the mace?
What?
What about the dirt on top of the mace?
That seems like we're talking about where it was in a what do you call it?
Cigar
what? It was in a marble thing.
Why is the floor? I'm just saying, like it wasn't just the floor; it was the whole enclosure. I'm assuming.
Well, the first case it says an orange shel shayish. The second one is it just says ritzvah shel avanim. He's saying
right. So orange shel shayish, I understand the whole thing is enclosed. If it's just a ritzvah, what happens to the stuff on top?
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying. I don't know. You're right. If there's dirt there, so how are you gonna be able to tell the difference? Which we're gonna have a little bit on
so
the base.
I'm just curious. Minig Eretz Yisrael is to bury the person not in an enclosed coffin, correct?
Correct, but they do cover.
But it's mashma from this Gemara that they didn't necessarily bury that way.
No, they didn't.
2,000 years ago. It's not the same.
I'm curious how that minig developed.
How it changed.
If it changed,
I don't know.
When it's mashma over here that they buried like everyone else, they buried in a coffin.
It's mashma like that. Yeah. Well, even in Eretz Yisrael, they put down stones first on top of the mace, and then they put the dirt.
Right, but here it's mashma. They managed buried in an aron. That's my point.
Yeah. So who uses marble arons?
Right. It sounds like that's something that was only done for certain people. But my point is that they used an aron.
Correct.
They used an aron.
Yeah. Well, the Gemara's and the Tainus said they used to have these huge fancy levayas, right? Until Rabbi Gamliel. Was it Rabbi Gamliel? Rabbi Gamliel put a stop to it.
Bucket, yeah.
Yeah, he put a stop to it. All right. So yeah, their Levi's were as fancy as our Kiddushin. We're just waiting for somebody to put an end to the Kiddushin too. But
They don't have meat. They don't have meat boards on Shaish yet. Wait until they get that.
That's true. It's on of yeah. But anyways, so I hear your point that it's on the Ritzvah Shalavadim, fine. But either way, the main point of the Gemara is that the decay from the mace has to be exclusive from the mace. Right? Nikvar b'ksusai, but let's say it's buried in clothing. Ba'aron shall eitz, or in a wood aron, ayal gabi ritzvah shall levanim, levanim, or on a floor made out of brick, then zeo meis she'ein lerekev, that mace does not have rekev. Meaning it does have rekev, but it's not exclusive to the mace. So since it's not exclusive to the mace, then therefore that's not necessarily going to make tumah because it might not have the shear. You have no idea how much of this dust or dirt is from the mace and how much is it from the wood or from the clothing that decays, etc., etc. So therefore, you cannot count that as something to make the nazir tummy. Right? So that's the main point. It has to be a dirt that's exclusive to the mace. Fine. Amar Ula. So Taisa says what this means is that in order to have rekev, it has to be decay from the flesh and from the gidim, from the sinews, and from the bones together. Right? If you only have decay from one of these three, or even two of these three, that's not considered a decay. You need to have all three. So Eisvei Rav Leula rekev min basar tar says that the rekev that comes from the basar is tar. Mashma min ha'etzem tamei. It's mashma that from the bones it's going to be tamei. Even if there's no basar with it. So you see that even if it's just bones that decay, that becomes tamei. Right? Oh, but it's not, doesn't have decay from the gidin and from the basar. So it's a stira. So Gemara says, Ema hachi. This is what the Brisa is saying. Rekev abomin basar. The rekev that comes from basar, tar acheyesh etzem bebasar. It's tar until you have a bone in the basar. Right? So Gemara says, but what about gidim? Halakha gidim. But there's no gidim there. So it's very nice that you're saying that there's basar and bones. But what about the gidim? Says when I answer, it's not possible to have basar and atzamas without gidim, right? So meaning that's just the metzias in biology, I guess, right? That you cannot have flesh and bones without gidim mixed in there. So therefore, when you have some dirt that decayed from this mace, it's automatically going to include all that. Fine. So if you have two mason that are buried with each other, nasu galgalan zelazeh, so they become a gilgal to each other. Right? So exactly how you teach this is a little unclear.
Isn't it they're rolled into one? The dust is rolled in together?
That's what it means. It means that you have a combination of dust from both. So therefore, since you have a combination of both, therefore it's not going to count. Right? It doesn't, meaning only tumah from one mace, only rekev from one mace will make something tummy. From two mason, it will not. Right? Yes, that's the way Tosfos says it. Misgalgal from the word gilgal, to roll.
No logic.
Right? What do you say?
There's no logic of that. That's what halacha mosemi Sinai.
Yes, it seems like somebody says that. I go, why should two mason? This gets back to what Zev or you were arguing about with the blood yesterday. Why should it not? Why should two mason not be? Why should they not combine? Right? But let's see how the Gemara goes. Let's see.
He was saying why they should combine. He was saying why
should they combine? That's what I said. Why should they combine?
Well, here Well,
The Mishnah said
proves
yesterday that if it breaks apart, it doesn't combine. Over here, it doesn't make sense. Over there, we said when it comes to blood, it has to stay one thing. It can't break apart. Yesterday, the Mishnah clearly said it cannot split into pieces. Nifrad, when it comes to blood, makes it that it doesn't have a kazayis, and Memela, it becomes tar. This is the different story. Here, the dust is different particles. So here it would be more schwer to say that, but over there, the Mishnah clearly said if it's nifrad, it's pieces, if the blood is split apart, it doesn't stay as one. What's it called? It becomes tar, and you can't put it back together when it comes to blood.
right. Okay, so that one second. So
I'm just saying, if the blood to here is not, I don't think it's the same sush though.
Right. No, I hear that. But okay, that's true. But let's see the next Gemara's kasha and teretz, and then see how it goes. So Master Rav Nosson asked the kasha, Rekev abami beis mason tome. Says beferish that you have Rekev that comes from two mason is tome.
And over here we say Gilgul is tar.
Correct. We just said that from two it's tar, and you have a brisa that says Rav Nosson says that it's tome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to answer. What happened is here, talking about where each one was buried by itself, and then they started decaying. And the decay together got to a spoonful of rekev. Right?
I don't see what happened. You buried the two bodies. You put the
So there's no shear, Zev. That's the point. There's no shear.
Well, yeah, meaning they have to have decayed individually. Then, if they get mixed in together, so then that's a problem.
how's that happening practically? Just
I have no idea. I have no idea how that's practically happening.
How does this practically happen? You bury the person, you go
They
home.
They were buried in the Kehila in Turkey, and there was an earthquake, and they got mixed up.
Okay, that's a shot. That could be.
But people eating in Turkey died 2 weeks ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, so
Yeah.
So
Meaning the chiddush is that each one does not have a shear unto itself, but they do mix together to make a shear.
it's the same kasha that I had yesterday. It's two separate dinim.
Correct. Correct. Right. That's what I was saying.
I don't
That's what
understand.
I'm saying. Right.
I don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't understand.
So there, yeah, that's what it says.
If one guy does a akira, another one does a nacha, it's two separate dinim, right? I'm saying, we mix it together. Let's mix it together. This guy's akira, this guy's a nacha. Let's mix
I
it.
don't know.
no, it's the opposite, Zev. They're both potter. No, that's exactly
Right.
They're both-
But over here,
here-
we're making it that it's tome. We're mixing it together.
Only
No.
if they were buried separate.
No.
Only if they were buried separate.
Okay, but that one has nothing to do with the other.
I
His
know
name is-
Hanami, and if they, I would say fakert, which is the reason why the Gemara's whatever. I mean, if it would, you ask me, I would say if they're buried together, they combine. Right? If they're buried separate, they don't combine. So of course the Gemara's right. Of course the Gemara's lahepech from what I would think. Givaldik, Baruch Hashem, right?
I'm just trying to understand the Gemara.
Me too, but that's that's clearly that I don't have something. I don't have something correct here exactly, right? But the Gemara is saying if they're buried together, they don't combine. If they're buried separate, then they do combine. There's obviously there's something from this. Yeah.
If they're buried together, it's because they're megalgal, and so
Yes.
therefore they're megalgal. So therefore, it's two separate. It's two
It's not
separate.
too. Well,
not
I don't
too-
know what it is. You can't tell. It seems like you have to be able, from this Gemara with the previous Gemara that are buried in marble and not with clothing, there's clearly something that the rekev has to be exclusive to one body. And if it has anything
Well,
mixed in
therefore-
there, it does not have a din rekev. What are you saying, Rav
Therefore,
Dai?
if they're buried separately, so let's say each
container of the rekev. That, let's say Reuven's rekev is one container, Shimon's rekev is the other container. So saying that the both containers mixed together, then it's okay. But that happened. It was separate by itself. It was separate and distinct, and then later got mixed together. That's no problem.
Right. Exactly. That's what you have to say is the pshat. Very good.
Yeah, that's
right?
That's it.
Each one has the koyach to be matama. In order for this rekev to be matama, it has to be exclusive from one body. Why? I don't know why. But that's what it seems. Once there's enough rekev from one body and the other body.
Maybe it has to be pure to one. Maybe that's it has to be pure from one person. That's it. If it mixes together before it is established as a complete share of rekev, then it's invalid because it could be whatever's mixed in. It doesn't matter.
The rekev, it's the same as you said that the rekev, the other person's rekev has the same din as the tachwichim or the shaish. It's not from that. Neither one is from that may, so it has the same din as a foreign substance as tachwichim. That's
okay.
I think what everyone's saying is
it's established as if it's from the tachrichim, then it's mixed with a foreign substance. But here it's a complete rekev on both. That's all. Yeah, good.
That's the first line of the Gemara of the Daf. We're understanding rekev as having a taich. Rekev is a din. It's not a taich. It's not just decomposed flesh. Rekev is whatever rekev is, and this Gemara is saying what it is. The only kind of rekev is
what's considered rekev, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's Yaakov, but Taisa does say that we're talking about a case here where each one's is a chatzi shir.
Correct.
Well,
otherwise, there's no chiddush.
So that's a huge chiddush. What shouldn't it lose its status of tamei once it goes down to less than a shir?
Well, that's what Zev is asking, right? You're taking two half shiurim and combining them.
Right. Didn't we say that by blood it doesn't work like that?
Well, by blood, yesterday we had the same question. By blood.
But by blood, it doesn't work.
You said if it comes to if you take a half. Yesterday we said if you take a half of blood from this person, half of blood, then it makes the blood tummy.
Right.
I don't think you can combine blood. That's what I'm saying. What comes out here is
you can.
We said yesterday you can.
You can combine two people's blood.
Combine it. Yeah. As long all of these things.
I don't think we said that the blood could be two people's blood could be combined.
Yeah, we just said that if one person's blood is split, it loses its tumor.
Gershon.
You go ahead.
No, I asked Reb Tzvianka before if there's one guy does. I mean, I don't know if it's a total comparison, but if one guy does an akir, one guy does an anacha, maybe you should combine it.
You don't. That's the same as two mason together.
Each one.
It never becomes rekev. If two mason together does not become rekev, decomposed human material is not rekev. Rekev is whatever gets a din rekev tongue. So it has to be the two cases that we started with. Those are the only two cases that become rekev. Once you have rekev, any two rekevs, three rekevs in mitzaref. It doesn't matter. Same as dam. I need dam that has a din tuma. Once I have
right, but Gershon, the problem is that but if they decay, what's wrong if the two masons decay together?
It doesn't become rekev.
But they're both rekev.
That's only because we're understanding rekev as the taich decomposed human material. That's not what rekev is. Rekev is something that has the din given by these two first cases.
Correct, but it's a very interesting thing that if they both decay independently, then they get mixed together. That's fine. Then that's considered
even
a combination.
Independently, we have if it's on brick or on earth, it's not rekev.
No, but I'm just
rekev
saying
is very specific.
If you have pure rekev, right? Pure rekev, right? Then it gets mixed together. It's fine. Then they mix, right? As long as they're not like, at what point do you consider it mixed, not mixed?
Well, there's only two cases. The first two cases of the daf.
No, I'm
That's
just
the only kind. It's the only way to make rekev.
correct, but I'm saying you have two mason. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's I don't think we're gonna go
You
crazy.
have two
over here.
mason.
No,
They were
yes,
buried separately, and on shayish with no whatever else.
I'm saying if I have two mason and I have a video camera, I put a video camera inside the caver with the two mason, right? And then I see that some rekev drops off one mace and it's just sitting there, and then which means it's exclusive, right, to that mace. And then I see not a shear. And then rekev, then on the video I see another rekev from the other mace drop, and now there's two little piles of rekev. Yeah. Then there's an earthquake or something, and the wind blows, and then it pushes the two rekevs together. Is that good or not good? Does that
How were they
combine now or
buried?
not?
How were they buried? In shayish separately?
In shayish separate, well, in the same tomb, let's call it.
That's not separately.
I know, and we're saying,
There's
but
no
is that
rekev then. Then there's
well, why not?
there's-
But each rekev was separate.
It doesn't matter. There's no the rekev didn't form because they were together.
But I'm
The
telling
bodies
you
were
that
together.
I watched on a video camera that it did form.
Oh, so you want to svara for that? I'll tell you a svara. Like in Taruvis, you have the moil goes from one to the other. They help each other decompose.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying that, but okay.
That would be what happens.
You got to accept it the way it is. It's an axiom. It's a rule. That's kind of what Gershon is saying. It just doesn't seem understandable to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure that should have been recorded, though. It's not so far for the government to start burying people with GoPros now. That's all we need.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, but the point is, let's just, whether we understand it or not, if they're buried separate and then they each have their own individual rekev, then we combine it. If they're buried together and they don't have their individual rekev, we don't combine it. Seems like rekev has to be pure, unadulterated body decay. Then it can combine. Okay, fine. Let's say they cut off the hair from the mace, the cover, and then they put the hair into the caver. Nasaloi galgalans, and then that becomes galgalan. Right? And therefore it does not consider rekev. Why? Because the hair, some of the hair probably decayed, and some of the mace decayed. That's not pure decay from the mace. Because the hair.
Did you have to cut the hair when he's dead, or could you cut it from before he's dead?
I understood either one, but I understood it is either way.
Wouldn't make a difference. It's as long as it's a separate entity from the mace.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes a difference whether it was cut before or after. Right? But again, if you didn't cut it off, then it's considered part of the mace.
Depends if the guy who jumped down by Reb Chaim was thinking of an auction or not.
Yeah.
Gershon, they sold his talus cotton today, okay? So it's not so far-fetched.
They did?
Yeah,
How much did it go for?
3,200.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
Wow.
We
should
should have
didn't tell
bought it
anyone
together.
about the auction.
We should have bought it together. I know a guy that would have bought it for 30,000.
Could we repurpose?
It was
December?
washed, so it went cheaper.
Did it have trailers?
Very good.
Was that in the picture, in the Coupe Air picture?
Yeah. So anyways, so Gaza Sar recovering in my Nasa like Galgalan, that's Galgalan. Non-Hassan. Kolsha b'meis
The
Tomei.
Litvaks will have something better than the Lubavitchers wear the Rebbe's shirt. They could wear Reb Chaim's talus cotton to the chuppah.
Maybe. You can probably rent that out and make back your money. Yeah, so Tanan Hassan. Kolsha b'meis Tomei. Anything that's in a mace is Tomei, chutz min hashinayim, v'aseir v'tziparin, except for the teeth and the hair and the nails. Right? V'shas chiburon kulan tmei, but when they're all connected, then they're all tummy. Again, he's saying that a mace teeth are not matama, hair is not matama, and nails are not matama. Right? Now, there's a couple of practical applications that come from this. One, of course, somebody asked me today. Right? A kohen, where's our resident dentist, Harold? Okay, so Tyler might not know, but he's the resident dentist. So sometimes, Harold, correct me if I'm wrong on this whole thing, but sometimes somebody has a problem with the jaw, with the teeth, and they have to fill the jaw. In order to get the implants in, they have to put human bones inside the jaw, right? Or something like that. That's, I think, something, yeah. So that's
Somebody
whatever
told
it
me
is.
today,
It's usually not human bone,
Somebody
Not
told,
human?
somebody told me that today, and it just.
mostly not.
Okay, so if it's not human bones, then the whole shaila is not a shaila, right? But this guy wanted to know, maybe it's, or the teeth, maybe he was getting can't imagine this. Dude, such a thing as a tooth implant from a from a dead person? Is there such a thing, Harold?
Never heard of it.
Okay, good.
Never heard of it.
Okay, yeah, but anyways, so, but these things, the shaila is, let's say theoretically the guy's a kohen, because this case was this guy's a kohen, and they told him that they're going to be using maybe some sort of implants from a cadaver. So then the question is, the guy's a kohen, does he become tummy? Right? This is going to come up a couple of times in the next couple of blot. Can he use that? Can a kohen use that type of thing? So is it crushed up? Is it not crushed up? Okay, whatever it is, but the teeth and the hair and the nails are not batama. That is an interesting thing that I don't know. I think it's connected to this, and that is, how come you don't have to, it's in Yonah D'Yoma, how come you don't have to kasher your teeth for Pesach? I know you're going to laugh at me with this, right? How come you don't? Right, like Rav Heinemann said, when somebody asked how do you kasher the braces, he said you put your head into the oven on self-clean for a half hour, right? But no, really, braces and fillings, how do you kasher that for Pesach?
It's part of you.
What?
It's part of you.
So that's the reason. So that's what the place can say.
You don't kasher your hands.
The reason why you don't have to kasher teeth and hands, why don't you have to kasher your hands, is because it's connected to a beating heart. Once it's connected to a beating heart, then it's considered part of. It's considered, it can't absorb taste, right? But once it becomes
a mouth can't absorb taste.
Correct. It's nothing below, nothing can get absorbed inside of it. I mean, not that you can't taste.
What?
Teeth and fingers and fingernails, taste does not get absorbed in it. That will come out the next time you eat it.
There's a difference between processing and absorbing.
Yeah, no, I'm saying absorb, meaning your teeth can't become fleishiks. It can't become milchiks. It can't become chametz because it's connected to a beating heart. Once it detaches from the body, then it can, right? Which is why the poskim do discuss braces and fillings, what you do with it on Pesach. They do discuss it. Now, whether it's
what about food stuck in between the guy's teeth?
No, that's something else. That could be a problem, right?
So a person should floss Erev Pesach?
Certainly.
So
Certainly,
a
if
person
you don't-
should floss every day, according to my dentist.
Every day, Zevi. Every day.
I didn't mean
Right here.
right
You
after
know, before Shei Shois.
If somebody has chametz right before this man,
right.
listen, what should I tell you?
Somebody goes to yeshiva in the morning. They have a bagel over there with sard, with my shrez minion, right?
Right.
And they have the whole the suda there. They should floss right afterwards.
Rabbi, you're gonna have to take that up with Zevi. You just invited another 20 people to your breakfast. I'm just telling you.
It's sod pastry. There's nothing to do with me.
Oh,
Nothing to do with.
There you go.
I
Great
have yours
sauce.
like the day before.
Two strings.
What's his name? Joe Rosen has. He has. Then I have Erev, and then Sad gives Kanara for the B'chayim.
But it's steam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, No, but the poskim do say, hey, I have to tell you, I mean, it sounds like a wild chumrah. Many poskim do say that if you know you have hot chametz, don't have hot chametz within 24 hours of the Zman Issa. Now, Moses, listen.
It has to be Yatzalah this way.
Yeah, now who bites into something that hot, right? But the truth is, you could burn your mouth with a hot pizza. Again,
what about a soup? You have a soup the night before.
It has to be a chametz stick of soup.
Yeah, chametz with barley and everything.
Yeah. So then the place can say that you should take hot water, the heat of that soup, and drink it. I'm just telling you what many places can say. Whether you should do it or not, that's
if you tell us to do it, we do it. No.
This isn't for teeth, though. This is for braces and fillings, though.
Right, regular. That's what I'm saying.
Everybody on this daf has a filling. That's for sure.
I don't.
Yeah.
I just go according to the head.
I don't
writer
either.
in my program in Dubai. Whatever he does, that's what I do.
David sent me. David Spira sent me a thing. He probably sent it to you. He says, "Oh, that's after Purim. The schools in the 5 towns have to start teaching the kids now how to go to a hotel for Pesach." Right.
Yeah, my son tells me that in Brooklyn, if you have a Pesach kitchen, you're a gevir. In the 5 towns, if you have a Pesach kitchen, you're an ani.
But see, if they talked about the Pesach programs, they wouldn't be going to the Pesach programs.
Right, that's true. But anyway, so the point is that that's what it's saying here, that the shinayim, when they're disconnected, once they become disconnected from the body, then they become disconnected, and then they're going to absorb taste, right? If you put the tooth back in, right? But they lose their tumah. So teeth are not. There's no issue of teeth for tumah, not teeth and not nails and not hair. Fine. So boy chizkiya, sare oimid ligalech, tzipor and oimid ligaza is my. So if you have hair that's going to be cut off and nails that are going to be cut off, then what's the deal? Mi amrin and kol oimid ligazas kagazas dami. Anything that's going to be cut, right? It's as if it was already cut, right? And memela, if you touch the nails of the mace, it's not going to become tameh. You're not going to become tameh. They're attached. So let's understand this. You have a mace. You're doing a tahara on a mace. Yeah. And the mace has long nails. Now, normally, if the mace wouldn't have died, those nails would have been cut. So now the rule of kol hamid legazes kegazes is as if it's already, since it's going to be cut, it's as if it's cut. Right, so memela, do we say, okay, it's as if it's cut, so therefore you touch the nails of the mace, you're not tummy? Or do we say, no, bottom line is the nails are still on. So since they're still on, you're going to become tummy. Right?
Indian here by Thomas Nida.
What do you mean? For mikvah?
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is the same exact shaila.
This shaila comes up a lot.
Which
Why
one?
does the woman, what?
What son? Which?
Why does a woman have to cut her nails before the mikvah? It's part of her body.
Because the dirt is not part of the body.
So clean out the dirt. You
don't know if
no, but you look at it and you see. So really, Me'ikar Adin, that's true. But we're chayshish v'kol ha'amid ligazes kegazes, since she plans on cutting these nails. So we look at it as if the nails are already detached from the body. And now that they're still attached, it's a chatzitza on the body. Right? So that's why.
Does she get haircuts? So maybe she gets haircuts also, so the hair doesn't count also.
And a chanami, that's why a woman is supposed to do any hair removal that she plans on doing should be done before mikvah, 100%, because kala imid ligazes, kegazes dummy. That's why we want them to do that. Right? Now, so that's where, especially where it gets really, so that's a stamazoi. Let's say you have a woman who doesn't want to get rid of her nails. So this is a chumrah. It's a chumrah, but we say this. So we say they can go to mikvah with nails, but what happens if she forgets? She cut off all of her nails, but she forgot one nail on. Or she cut off most of her nail, but there's a little bit hanging. I had the shiloh last week. It's very rare to send a woman back to the mikvah but she cut her nail, and there's a little bit of it hanging, right? Which is stam a different shaila, because of course they take a picture of their nail and they send it to me. So it says that you're not supposed to be mistakel even on the pinky of a woman. Right? Right? Great. Now they send me a picture of an but I think
But you don't know who it is. Or you do maybe. All right.
No, it's not an issue. Kala exists. Kagaz's dummy. You weren't looking at it. You're just looking at a piece of nail that's already detached.
No, but it was her finger was connected to it. All right. We're not chopping off her finger. So
yeah, you're not looking at the finger, you're looking at the nail.
Whatever it is, but the nail was mostly off, but it was what we call a hangnail. So there already, that's mamish oimid legazes.
What do you say?
So she went back. She had to go back. But she Baruch Hashem. She had just come back from mikvah when she chapped it, so it was easy to tell her to go back. Right?
See, would that be true on Shabbos also?
Was that what?
If you have a nail that's mostly coming off on Shabbos and somebody wants to take it off, is that Kigaz's domain?
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Akiva, for reminding me that. Yes, that's the din by Shabbos, believe it or not. Believe it or not, the din by Shabbos, if that nail is most of the way off and it's bothering you, you could take off the nail on Shabbos.
What, you allowed to bite it off or something?
Man, not if it's most of the nails off. Like what Akiva was saying, if most of the nail is off and it's like digging into your skin and it's bothering you, then you're allowed to take it off. But not the skin, just the nail. Not the skin, just the nail. Right? Fine. Okay, so anyway, so that's the shaila here. So the Gemara answers or tries to answer the shaila. Right? Let's say pshat from Rav Rachana, time of Mishum de Gozas. Right? The reason is because the hair was cut off. Haloi Gozas loy. Right? But if it wasn't cut off, then not. Right? So Rav Rachana said that if you cut off hair, what's a
Pirates Chizkiya from Rav Rachana? They're both aren't they both Amoraim? Like what's Chizkiya had a Shiloh who says Rav Rachana agreed with him?
No, Rav Rachana said a statement that if you cut off the hair from the dead body and then it's in the grave, then there's no rekev from that. So it's saying that he said it only when it was cut off, mashma, that if it was not cut off, then it's considered rekev. So you see that it has to actually be cut off. That's all. We're just trying to say a pshat based on his statement, which nobody seemed to have disagreed with.
That doesn't make it that Chizkiya agrees with it.
That's true, but we're saying,
so Rav Rachana is not adding anything. Rav Rachana can hold one way.
That's true, but the Gemara clearly is thinking that nobody disagreed with him, I think. So anyway, so recently
there was no reason to B'dafka make machlokes.
Okay.
But by Beisham Mesil, there's already plenty of machlokes. I'm just saying, there
was. But there's no reason. There's no reason to create a new one.
I understand that, but if Chizkiya is asking a shaila, who said Rav Rachana is going to help? Chizkiya clearly had a shaila.
Right. That's fair. That's a fair point. But the bottom line is nobody disagreed with him. So l'chayr, we're going to go. We'll say, okay, well, it's very late. We're not even finished on with Aleph yet. Paretz is going to be after us here. Yeah. So the Gemara answers, Hachi Kama.
Wishful thinking, Zevi. Wishful thinking.
So Hachi Kama. Gozaz hareze galgalim loy gozaz mi boile. No, it's not necessarily that we're going to say pshat. Gozaz, if he cut off the hair, for sure it's galgalim, and meaning it's a combination of the rekev, and it doesn't count. Loy gozaz mi boile. But if he didn't cut off the hair, then that's the shaila. Fine. Next shaila. Now, as we know, we don't have any podiatrists on, right? But the skin on the bottom of the foot is dead. A lot of dead skin on the bottom of the foot. So what happens if this rekev that comes from the dead skin? When did we say this din of rekev? That's from when it comes from the whole body. But if it comes from the heel, that's not going to make tumah, because that's already dead skin. That's decay from dead skin, even when the person was alive. No, we say no, it doesn't make a difference. Whatever record comes off the body, comes off the body. So again, what the shaila is the dead skin from the bottom of the foot. is that considered part of the body, or is that already considered not? So he said that rekev that comes from two mesim is tummy. And if you say that the rekev that comes from the heel is not, zil hacha dilma derech ekev gasi, maybe some of the dirt is coming from the heel. V'hacha dilma derech ekev gasi, and here by the other one, by the other mace, it's also coming from the heel, right? So now, if we're going to be, it's going to be a suffix. So what's going to happen with this nazir? The nazir is going to end up bringing korbanos based on these two mesim with the things based on their heels. So it's a whole suffix. How you let the guy bring korbanos on a suffix, right? So therefore, it can't be.
It's right, no?
I don't know. We say
coming
Roiv by
from the whole
Rekev.
body,
By
it's
Rekev,
right, no?
no, but by Rekev we don't go Roiv. It has to be all or nothing. That's what we've been learning.
No, I'm saying that you could, if you hold that, it's considered like if you have the whole shear and some of it's not mevatel to the right.
Right.
How does it?
Yeah.
I'm saying
No, it never is. You need a revi'ah stam or a chatzi lug dam. A chatzi lug minus a drop is not a chatzi lug.
Okay, let me constructive listening. Oh, amazing. Okay, great. In the previous segment, we learned that
What is it? What are you saying?
if there's something constructive.
You don't have a shear. You don't have a shear. There's no tumah.
Question: how is this?
Rive won't help you.
How are you going
Yeah, you have to.
I
We're
have-
talking about it. The assumption is that there's a shear, no?
There's an exact shear. That's the problem. There's an exact shear, and some of it's from the akev. That's a problem.
Yeah. Oh, somebody just texted about hair transplants. No, Shiloh about hair transplants. So if you do a hair transplant, is that considered part of the body? This guy's issue is with tefillin, right? Because of chatzitza, because he has a hair transplant, now is a chatzitza for tefillin, right? But
so
they don't want you to,
they have to figure out the shaila after the fact.
but they don't want you to get they don't want you to put anything on top of the hair for a while. So what's he do about tefillin? Right? Okay, whatever it is. So that is, the Gemara wants to prove it from that. So the Gemara answers, there's no proof. Either of kule mace, if the whole mace decayed because he derech and the dust went through the heel, meaning not through it, but it came from the heel, hachanami, right? So then you're right. Here we're not talking about where the body decayed and we're assuming that there was decay from the heel. We're talking about where only one aver of the mace started decaying because he derech ekev, and there was also dirt coming from the ekev. So Mai said, what's the din? Right? Meaning there's only one limb is decaying, and there's also dust coming from the ekev, from the heel. So the question is that considered that's enough of rekev, or do we say no, that rekev from the heel, the reason why it's decaying faster than the rest of the body is because that's already dead skin from way before. So when it says my, what's the din? Teku, so it's teku. Fine. Okay, weiter. Now we get into interesting shilas. Not that before it wasn't. Right. So by Rav Yirmiyah, so let's say a pregnant woman dies, right? But now that fetus starts decaying. Is that fetus considered part of the woman or not part of the woman? Right? So again, yeah. So kivan damar uber yerachima, since we know that a fetus is considered literally translated as the thigh of the mother, hilka gufahu, it's considered part of her body, and it's one big thing. What do we say? Kivan the saifai lotzes, so we say no, since it's about to go out, mifresh parish mina, that's considered separated, and therefore it's considered rekev from two different beings. And like we said before, the rekev from two different beings don't combine.
You understand that second side? I don't know.
Why? Yeah, it's considered a separate being.
Really, it's attached to her. What do you mean?
What? Well, that's Pshan and Uber Yerech Yimai. But the bottom line is,
it's
an
gonna,
independent
because it's
entity.
gonna come out. It didn't come out. I'm not.
The same shaila. It's the same shaila with the nails. Or it's just it's a continuation of the shaila with the nails. Right?
What?
The nails are going to come off the body. Do we look at it like it's not part of the body right now or not? Right? What does this have to do with
the nails of the zech are going to come off? He's going to cut them off, right?
And this baby's also going to come out. You hope. Right?
I guess not. She's dead with a fetus.
Well, that's because she died. But
that's the same as the nails. There's no difference.
And if she died before cutting her nail, the nail's not coming off either.
And if she doesn't use the Erev, she can't go out on Shabbos.
Sure, the Chaver Kaddish is doing the job with the nails.
Yeah.
The baby must die if the mother died. That's known.
I hate to break it to you, Zevi. The Chaver Kaddish is not cutting the nail. They only clean it. They do not cut nails.
You know?
No. You clean the nails.
Maybe
some of them cut off the nails. Some of them take off the whole nail. Some have that minute.
What are you talking about? I don't know. Maybe you know a different Chaver Kaddish.
Some places take off the entire nail. Some places do that.
But see, what we're talking about where it's aymin, meaning I always thought aymin livrish, or when it comes to cutting the nails, is that shot is that it was at a stage where it should have been cut. Meaning, if your nail is very ground down, you're going to cut it at that point. Similarly, this woman, if she's in her first trimester, you're not going to assume that it's going to be parish at that point.
Yeah, but it's going to eventually be.
Right, but I'm saying it's not. I thought imminently parish means that imminently it's going to be parish. Meaning it already has the potential to be cut or to leave.
Okay, could be. I don't know. But anyway.
No, I'm saying that would be huge nafkamina. You can't just say that. Then not every case is that true when it comes to Rekev.
Right. No, that's
One
true.
Second.
But
I have a crazy question. I'm going to get yelled at by Aaron, but if what you're saying is that a baby's coming out, so it's going to be basically like you're saying it's going to be cut, so it's considered cut. If a woman had spotting and she had to go while she was pregnant, how does she go to the mikvah?
I don't understand.
You have to cut the nail first, right?
Yeah.
So a baby's not a problem. I know the answer. It's not.
Oh, why is
it a crazy question?
Why
I know
is
it's
a baby not a chatzitza?
Right. Yes.
Because it's inside the body. It's way inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to give it a bris? I don't know.
That's the minute to give it a bris, but not when it's inside the stomach. That's only when the baby is still born.
Right, I understand. So what's the shiloh that if it's inside, it's gonna come out? So I don't care. I don't know. All right.
Okay, it's considered a separate entity. Fine. Let's see.
You're on the time constraints now. I see that.
Yeah. If you say that an uber that's going to come out is considered separated from her on Tomit Beis now. Shichva zera b'mei isha ma. What about the shichva zera that's in the mei isha, meaning within her womb, right? And so she has relations, and then she dies, right? So now she has other foreign things inside her body that will decay. Miyamrinan kivan the light. It's since it didn't, nothing was born from that zera. Right, ki gufa dama, so it's considered part of her body. Aiduma kiven de me alma kasi, but since it came from someplace else, loi, so it's not. Right. So now I don't know if Dr. Corman is on, not on now. But does this mean that it has to have the potential to have a baby to be able? Meaning, is this within 3 days?
Gemara continues with this discussion, doesn't it?
What?
Doesn't the Gemara continue that discussion? Without
no, this is No, it is the end of this. This is the end of this shiloh, at least this part. Right? Meaning the zera is in there, but it's not necessarily going to be able to impregnate, not impregnate. I don't know exactly how this is working. Does it have to do with impregnating? Does it have to do with impregnating? Either way, the Gemara
What's the Mefirish?
What?
The Mefirish says Samach Lemisasa.
Correct. So
It
since
looks like
there's
from the Mefirish it has to be impregnatable, Zara. But why did the Gemara jump to Zara? What about food in her stomach?
That's next. Well, it's almost next. It's interesting. Food in the stomach doesn't go with. Okay, whatever it is. So let's see. So that's the shah. Then Boira Papa, Pirsha Mahu. What about the Pirsha? Pirsha is the feces that are in the intestines, right? So that also will decay. Kiva delay makaima, but delay achla. Do we say that since she can't live without food, chiyusu, that's part of her chiyus? It's part of her body. Or do we say no? That also came me'alma, right? Then another shaila. What about the skin? Meaning, is the skin considered part of the body or not? What about mucus and saliva? Right? If that decays and turns into dust, is that considered a separate entity, or is that part of it? So that's a bunch of rapid fire shilas. So then so you have a problem. If you say that all these things are gagalin, every single body has excrement, right? And has mucus and has saliva. So then when do you ever get rekev out of a body? Right? So the Gemara says that's a wild teretz here. The Ashke made the column. It's talking about where they gave him date water or palm date water, right? Which is a what do you call it? A cleanser. There's a better word for it. Whatever. Not it. You know what they use before no parents.
To let my people go.
Like an enema, some of that.
Like an enema, or before you take not an endoscopy.
Or a colonoscopy.
Colonoscopy.
Well, the stuff they use to make
so it's a drink. Yeah. It's a drink that clears you out. So
Like a laxative?
What?
Laxative?
It's a laxative, whatever it is. It clears out the entire body. So what are we talking about? When is there rekev for a body? When you clear out the entire body. The Sachya Nasha, and it's also talking about where they did all the hair removal, right? The Shalkub made Tveria, and then they cooked it in the Tveria to remove the skin. I'm assuming those last two happened after it died. Well, the middle one, the hair removal, could have been before it died. So basically, there's nothing on this body. We're talking about
I asked this morning, what do we eat? You're allowed to take off all the.
Reb Zeb, if you asked it this morning, why you got to ask it again?
Because I didn't get an answer. So go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Put your head down. Go back to sleep.
Yeah. So what was your question?
No, a person allowed to do the whole body, the hair. You know, they're taking off the whole part, every part of the body.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure. Did they do this when it was dead?
Nowadays, you're allowed.
And also nowadays, you are allowed. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Nowadays, men do hair removal a lot. So, and we use goyim
they do it, or they're allowed to do it?
They do it. The goyim. We even use goyim for this.
Uh-huh.
So, they do
Zeb,
it.
you let us know when you want an appointment. It's on us.
You ain't gonna win. So what was I saying now? Oh, so this is the case. The only case you have rekev is if the body was cleansed before they died, they did hair removal and skin removal. I don't know why they needed to do hair removal. Why can't you just do skin removal and that would l'chayra remove the hair? Right? But okay. But that's the only way. That's the only case of rekev. Other than that, there's no case of rekev. Right? Yeah? Fine. Next. Amra Abaya. Naktina on mace shetochnu ein le rekev. A mace that was ground up cannot have rekev. Right? So then Gemara says, Ibaylu, tochnu v'chazer v'hirkev. That's assuming that you ground it up so there's no rekev. But what happens if you ground up the mace and then it started decaying? Isn't the reason why, how do you say it? That the reason why you need to have the body holes, because it needs to come from basar, like we said, it needs to come from all three, from the flesh, from the sinews, and the bones. And you have that here. And you need it to decay from the way it was when it was alive. And you don't have it because it was ground up. Fine, so take it. Fine. Tani ula bar chanina, mace shechasar, if there's a mace that's missing a limb, ein le rekev, it does not have rekev, v'lo tfusa, and it doesn't have tfusa. Tfusa is that if you exhume a mace, you have to take a few inches of dirt that's under it, because we're assuming that some of the decay from the mace goes into the dirt. So you have to take 3 inches of dirt with it too. And it's not considered shchunas kfaras, meaning if you come across 3 graves together, then we assume that that is a cemetery, right? And then you have to go check all around to see if there aren't any more graves around, and in order to be matar that whole area for people to walk. So basically, there's 3 different dinim. Rekev.
Jacob, in the back of the day, everybody would bury on their own property. Does that make it a cemetery, their own property?
Right. That's right. 100%. That's exactly what the Gemara is saying. If you find 1 mace, so you could just assume that place was tamei and that's it. But if you see 3 mason, now you have to assume that that's a cemetery, and then that whole area is going to be considered like a tumadik area. But that's only if all 3 mason were buried complete. If one of them was missing a limb, then it doesn't count. None of these dinim count. Right? So then that's also Allah Moshe Messina. Right? Because what's the difference? What's the difference if it's missing a limb? Right. So Meisvei, so they asked the Kasha, it says Loi. Now this is back and forth with the Mishnah in Idjis, where whether a limb that gets detached from the body is matama or not. So the Gemara there says that it does, just like a limb of a dead body is matama, so a limb off of a live body is matama, right? Which is quite interesting that, let's say a kohen loses a limb, right? Let's say a kohen loses a limb. Now that limb is matama. Can they reattach that limb to the kohen? Or do we say it can't because it's tameh, that limb? Right? Now it's the shaila. The Paiskim clear the shaila. The Ma'aser say that it's mutter.
What about somebody else's limb?
Somebody else's limb is even more shver. Yeah. But anyways,
the Gemara asking between a Bryce and a Mishnah, or the Gemara that's a Meisvei?
What?
Is Meisvei used when the Gemara is asking a steer between a Bryce and a Mishnah?
You can't. Yeah. There's no rayas anywhere from Tanans and Nazir. Right, Akiva, we said
Tanan. Is this not? I'm asking, is this a Bryce or not?
It's a Mishnah.
Tani Ula Bar Chanina is a Bryce. So then the Gemara asks Meisvei from a Mishnah.
Correct.
So the Gemara is asking a kasha on a Bryce from a Mishnah. A Meisvei isn't? Don't they usually ask for a minu?
Usually Meisvei is from a
Bryce.
Yes, usually Meisvei is from a Bryce, but here it's from a Mishnah. Anyways, so Meisvei loyim. So anyway, so that's the Mishnah there is having the back and forth over whether a limb from a live person is matama. So Meisvei loy, the Gemara first says that it does, then the Gemara asks a kasha loy. Remember mace? No, I'm going to tell you the mace is different. A mace has many chumras to it. Sheyesh le roiv v'roiva, because mace, and we had this in the Mishnah 2 blot ago, because a mace has that if you have a roiv of the bones, you have a majority of the bones, then it's matama v'roiva, and if you have a revius of its bones, or a rekev, or a spoonful of rekev, so all those things will be matama. There's no such thing is you have a majority of bones from a live person, and not a revius of bones from a live person, and no spoonful of rekav. Obviously, you don't have any of these things by a live person. So maybe but there's a chumrah that a limb off of a dead person is matama, because it has all these other chumras, but a limb of a live person should not. That's what the Mishnah is asking in Idias. So it says, hey chidami. Right? So what's the case? The arkiv chad aver, we're talking about where one aver became decayed. The kabasok be mace, and the same thing by a mace. Afilu chad aver ika rekav. Even from one aver, there's rekav. So you see clearly that not only does an entire body that's missing a limb have rekav, but even if it's one limb by itself that has rekav, it has rekav. So how can you say, right? How could Ula Bar Chanina say that if the mace is missing one limb, there's no rekav? So when it says Mikatani ha mace, did we say ha mace? Ha kamashulan shum mace yesh le rekav, shum chayin le rekav? Meaning, we're not comparing this exact case of one limb to another limb, right? No, we're comparing the concept that a mace has a problem with rekav, and a live person does not have a problem with rekav. Okay, fine. Bye, Rava. Hirkiv kishu chai. Let's say the guy's limbs start decaying when he's alive. The chazaru mace, and then he dies. Mao ki gemiri rekav. When they learned out gemiri, when they learned out this halacha mashmasina of rekav, the irkiv kishu mace. That's talking about where it started decaying once he died. I Dilma hashtamiya hamayis. Now he died, so who cares if he started decaying before? So Tashema loy im amrit b'meis sheyesh leroiv v'roiv v'malei taver. The same from the same brisa. It says that a mace has roiv bones, or a revius of bones, or a spoonful of dirt. Rekev rekev tamer b'chai, but b'chai doesn't. So taima mishum chai. The reason is because the person is alive. Ha-mace yesh le-rekav. It's mashma that if he died, there would be rekav even from one limb. So Gemara answers again, Mikatani ha-mace, are we saying that we said ha-mace or kamashmalan, the shum mace yesh le-rekav, that there is such a thing as a mace that has rekav, shum chai ain't le-rekav, but the shum from a live person, the limb from a live person does not have rekav. Yeah. Okay, so we don't necessarily have a proof whether there's rekav from a body that's missing a limb. Okay, it's late, so we'll stop over here. I'm sorry, we really went over time tonight. Wow. Okay, this daf is easy compared to the next couple of daf. Right? It's wild. It's whatever the building. You really need to have a skeleton. Everybody has a spare skeleton. It would be helpful, but. Whatever.
Are you gonna give like Shurim and Pesach, like one or two?
I don't know. Only if people make me nuts to give it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
First night or second night?
Azagazund.
Right.
And
what? Okay.
What's the problem?
Shir must be finally over. Parents made a fun.
Here's comments. When is the best time for you? You don't know.
Best, I don't know. I'm hefker kafra da'ara.
In the mornings, is there any particular place?
I'm in YFR usually in the mornings.
Okay. Right,
usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have the star ready or no?
I have to just print it, that's all. I just have to print it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're so efficient, Zevi. Look at this guy. He's ready to sell the comments. For 3 weeks, the Yom Tov already, Zevi.
We have to start cleaning up.
He's getting things done.
The hot shiloh of the year is the sourdough starter.
What do you mean sourdough starter? What is that?
Meaning what?
I thought you solved that one already.
I did solve it, but the problem, but I don't know if I solved it.
What do you tell the guy with the hair plugs?
I told him I don't know what you should do. How should I know if he could put tefillin down on top of his hair? I'm not taking the achrayas. The guy spent probably who knows how much money on his hair.
All right, throw the recording.
Are we mentioning names of who's getting hair plugs, Aaron?
I don't want Jacket to slip.